The first Tonky build of the league, I stayed around 30 divine budget and used one of the new Bloodline's Ascendancy. This guide will cover how to craft all the items for this build. Even with that much investment, the single target damage and clear is just insane. You can AFK on tier 17 maps and not die to it. Ubers will melt like normal versions, while you can facetank them very easily. This is my Breach Lord Ignite Reave / Eviscerate Elementalist. What's up guys, Pidget here. We're using two skills, one for clear, one for single target. Our single target skill is Eviscerate. Eviscerate is a retaliation melee attack skill that unleashes two arcane waves in front of you. Both waves can hit the same enemy to increase the damage even further. Normally this skill is inflicting bleed. This is why we choose Elementalist to enable to our skill to ignite. The single target damage of this skill is just insane. This skill only usable after you block, and it would be very annoying to use on its own for clear. For this occasion, our clear ability is Reave. Reave is a melee attack skill that deals area in front of you, gaining more and more area effect with each hit. Tier 6 stacks. This will cover almost the full screen in front of you, although this is very hard to notice because the skill visual effect. The reason why we choose this skill because this has very high base damage and area, so we can freely clear tier 16s and tier 17 maps without the annoyingness of Eviscerate. The base damage is coming from a skill that I never used before, that's the energy blade. This will grant you a sword based on your energy shield. The more energy shield you have, the stronger will become. This will also lowering down your energy shield significantly, but still, it will be enough to just face tank almost anything in the game. Combining this skill and Elementalist Shaper of Flames Ascendancy notable, we can take easily down any Uber bosses under seconds. The damage is set, only Tonkiness is missing. Part of the defensive layers already covered with the energy shield stacking. Currently I have 9.4k energy shield, 1.3k energy shield regen while standing still, block cap and gain 5% of our energy shield back every single time when you block a hit. We also have 4 endurance charges which will lower down the physical and elemental damage we take significantly. This league we got Bloodline Ascendancies, and one was very interesting for me, that is Breach Lord Bloodline. I know many people only see one thing, what gives me more damage, but not me. This Bloodline will give us Tonkiness. When you're using the corresponding graphs, it will lower down the damage taken, depends on which graph you're using. Also the graphs itself giving us pretty good bonuses. As always, I starting with the items guys. I crafted 90% of the gear that you see on the character. I'm made a note section about many questions that you would ask, and also the crafting section. I including crafting section as always for my Uber Tonky builds, and you can see here the body armor, even the body armor colors, even the helmet and so on, how you can craft these ones. Once again, I want to mention guys, always check the market. The current economies works because of the Genesis tree. You maybe can just purchase a body armor like that and for very cheap. So just keep in mind this one please before you starting crafting and spending money on it, because maybe you will getting it much cheaper. So the basic idea for this build guys, stacking energy shield and int at the same time, so we can have a very hefty energy blade that will increase our damage significantly, and we achieving this int of every single piece of gear. As you can see here, int here, only the shield is not having int. Any other equipment has int on it, as you can see here as well. So yeah guys, that is how I reaching around that much energy shield. And by the way, this is not even the final form. So once again guys, I spent 30 divine on this build. It can be improved even further. Once again guys, we only aiming energy shield and intelligence on every single pieces. Basically that is the main goal. And attributes obvious. I want to raise your attention on the shield. So on the shield, very important to have block chance on it. That is absolutely important. You can get this block chance with essences till you hitting the recover 5% of energy shield when you block, which is very important guys, because this is the main recovery source when you're taking many hits back to back. And you need for this one a Crusader shield. You need to purchase a Crusader orb and just slam the shield and then you can start spamming the essences. But this is covered once again, guys, in the notes section how you can craft it. And once again, guys, as always, Tides of Time, you know, this is my signature unique belt for my beards, and you know, when you see Tides of Time, you know this will be a very nice build on its own. So yeah, this is providing us once again, guys, the flash charge gain, and we can sustain the elemental resistance flask, so we can have very nice maximum resistances and overcap resistance as well, because I'm running Ether of Words altars, so it getting lower down my resistance significantly. And now the flask, guys. So the signal target flask is we using a prismatic tincture with increased effect and also damage over time multiplier with melee attacks. That is very important. And using ruby flask, sapphire, and topaz flask, this three has 100% uptime, and as you can see here, all elemental resistance, avoid being shagged, and we using avoid being stunned here, and I'm using a soulful flask here and gain free challenge when you take a hit from an enemy, and it has 3% life regeneration during effect. Bossing setup, I would say. And when we just mapping, we using a gold flask instead of the tincture, and we using a silver flask instead of the soulful flask, because this will grant us onslaught, you moving faster, attacking faster, and simple as that. The graphs is also very important for this build, guys, and I'm using one soft graph that will grant us increased fire damage and also graph blight gained, and also call the pyre. Call the pyre, when I attacking, you can see here these red tornadoes or pillars, how we can call them. This will inflict ash on hit, will increase the damage the target take from the fire damage by 20%. Very huge damage multiplier for this build. And the other one, we using a Unital Graft, 3% additional physical damage reduction and fire damage over time multiplier. The active skill part is not working, guys, because obviously we will not reach low life because we have one single life. So if you reach in low life, you just dead at this point, so it will not give you anything. So the reason why we're using this, because of Bloodline Ascendancy, this will grants us 50% less physical damage taken, which is very nice. And also this will provide us, because we're using the soft graph, we will take 50% less from the fire damage attacks. Now the passive tree looks like this, guys. We using triple cluster javel, as you can see here, and all of the three is the same. So we're using smoking remains, disorienting display, and basically that's it. We're taking up here the prismatic hurt, and basically that is the cluster javels, the large ones. The medium clusters we're using brewed for potency, reinvigoration, and the same on the other side as well. We're using one single small cluster javel with this node enduring composure, because this will grant us endurance charges when we take a hit, so we can have almost 100% endurance charge uptime while mapping, even on boss fights. Pretty damn welcomed as well. And now we're using a lot of unique javels, guys, as well. So let's start with the Storm Shroud. The Storm Shroud will modify us to chance to avoid being shagged, apply to all elemental elements. This is why we have avoid being shagged craft on the Flask and also in the boots implicit, so we have 100% avoid elemental elements, which is very welcomed in a Tonky build. And the other thing is we're using, guys, replica reckless defense. Very important. This is how we can reach block cap without taking the glancing blow. You need 4 of this with decent rolls, so it was not costing too much because not too many people care about this. I mean, they was not caring at this point, but maybe it will go up in price, who knows. This is how you can get the block chance and spell block chance capped with this one. And we're using a few rare javels as well, as you can see here. Majority of the time you just aiming fire damage over time multiplier and increase maximum energy shield. If you have these two on your javels, then you good to go. Although, guys, I can tell you that I hit an insane javel here, so the spell damage is not doing anything for this one, okay? The only reason I say this is insane because the corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you, and this has maximum energy shield and fire damage over time multiplier, which is absolutely insane. Obviously you don't need this javel because this is, guys, giving you maybe 100 energy shield, so it's not a big deal. And even the fire damage multiplier gives you 1% 5% more damage, so it's not making or breaking the build. I just was super lucky to just hit with a Wall Orb, this one, so you can use whatever Javel here that you can get. And now the Ascendancy, guys. So once again, guys, we're taking Elementalist, we will take the Shaper of Flame, Shaper of Storms, and obviously Liege of the Primordial, so we can have golems. So this is the reason why we playing only Elementalist, because the Shaper of Flames, it will inflict ignite, so every single thing that we hitting, it getting ignited, and this is our damage source. This is literally the only reason you can play this build. And as I promised, guys, we using Breach Lord Bloodline, and we taking here the Otherworldly appendage, so you will take less damage for the corresponding grafts you have currently. And because we have Immortal and Soft, we will take less physical damage, and we will take less fire damage from the hits, which is very welcome, because majority of the time this two damage type is kind of dangerous, especially the physical damage on a build that has exactly 0 armor, but we have 50% physical damage reduction, so we can just face tank Uber Shaper Slam without a single point of armor. I'm not kidding, we have exactly 700 armor. 700 armor, it would be not enough to just face tank Uber Shaper Slam, I can tell you that. Now the links, guys. So let's start with the clear setup. Okay, so let's start with the clear setup. We're using Eviscerate with elemental damage with attacks, awaken burning damage, volatility, Reave, and ignite proliferation. So this is your clear setup. So you will just use the Reave, and that's it. That is your clear. And sometimes you're encountering like a boss or a breach boss, you know. You can just use the Eviscerate, and it will immediately just kill, I would say, 90% of the bosses less than 1 second, and the rares as well. So I only using Eviscerate on solitaire rares, so that is the thing. And when I just doing boss fights, I swapping out the Reave for Awakened Deadly Element support, and that is my bossing setup. Although you don't need to swap this one every single time when you're doing normal tier 16 bosses, only just tier 17s and Ubers. And so in the gloves, we're using Arcanist brand with Flammability, Elemental Weakness, and Flame Surge. And we're using Malevolence in the boots, Tempest Shield, Discipline, and Combustion. So the reason why we're using Combustion here, because Tempest Shield can hit the enemy when you're blocking, and it will lower down even further enemy resistance, fire resistance more precisely, so it will take more damage. And in the shield, we're using Ensha support, Energy Blade, and Flame Dash, and this is our I would say offensive setup, because this is the only reason you can play this build. Otherwise you would not deal a single point of damage, you can't even use it. So yeah. And in the helmet, we're using the golems, so Lightning Golem, Stone Golem, Flame Golem, and Chaos Golem. In the weapon, we're using Shield Charge and faster attacks, and one single Abyss Javel with Intelligence, Maximum Energy Shield, and all elemental resistances, because I would say that is the best one that you can get on this one. Although, if you want, you can get better, like Tier 1 Energy Shield on it, and a little bit better all elemental res roll, but honestly, I was settled down on this one. So guys, I was absolutely mind blown away by the damage. It was insane even on Uber. So when I was fighting on this Uber Cortex, I was literally checked like 2 times or 3 times. Am I on the correct boss fight? This is Uber, and then it was Uber because it was level 85 zone, right? But I was just mind blown away even on Uber Awakener, even on Uber Shaper. So the way it works, this build is just insane, and the amount of investment you need, it's not even that expensive. And by the way, you can improve this build even further if you want, but honestly, I don't know what content you want to farm with that. Already I have very nice damage, 22 million ignite DPS on normal bosses, which is literally enough to just kill even Shaper less than a few seconds. So that build is just insane. The Tonkiness is absolutely nice as well. Although I will tell you that, guys, so this build doesn't have suppression, right? So sometimes, especially from Shaper balls, you will take a very big chunk of your energy shield, and you can just die to it, sadly, because fitting suppression in this build is very hard. I tried it in my POBs, but it's not worth. So I was just going like this, and honestly, if you still thinking you locking energy shield, you can literally just swap out the energy blade with an emerald edge in your main hand, and you will have easily like 16k energy shield, which is, by the way, more than enough to just not die even on I don't even know on what. So you can just tank basically anything. Maybe Maven memory game not, but yeah. So overall, guys, this build is very nice to play it, and it was very satisfying as well to just put together, figuring out a few things, because Ignite Eviscerate Elementalist is a real thing in a very long time, but I did not pay too much attention because of Strixter, and also I tried to give my own take on this one, especially with the Breach Lord Bloodline. So yeah, you can guys at least play a little bit differently an already existing build. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video about Breach Lord, Ignite, Reave / Eviscerate Elementalist. If you have any question, please leave a comment below, or you can find me on twitch.tv/Pridget2. Thanks for watching. I was Pridget. See you next time.